Welcome into Clear Picture Financial. Your host is Jason Noble. You can find him at Prime Capital Investment Advisors. Fiduciary advisor, holds his FINRA Series 66 securities registration, certified financial planner, and retirement income certified professional with 18 years in the business, the financial arena, helping his clients get ready for retirement. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. Each and every week, we hit the topics and we talk retirement. You're going to have questions. We give you an opportunity. We not only walk the walk, we talk the talk. We're going to give you an opportunity to come in and meet with Jason Noble. We have a limited number of spots for the upcoming week. We'll tell you more about that as we move through the program. So let's get into this, Jason. 2023, it could be, I hate saying it, but it could be the worst year for retirement since the Great Recession. That is scary, but don't panic. We've got some solid planning tips to help you retire in what is this bear market. So let's start with this one. Just understanding sequence of returns risk.
Yeah, sequence of returns risk is really a fancy term that financial advisors have been throwing around for many years now. Really since 1994, thanks to an influential paper that came out by William Begman. It may sound like an obscure financial theory, but in 2023, it's imperative to understand that this unusual category of risk and how it could come into an overall retirement plan. It has a direct bearing on the wealth of people who plan to retire during difficult markets like we are facing today. Well, I think it's always good to give examples when I can. So let me give like a simple version of this. At some point during your 25 to 30 year retirement journey, there will be at least one bear market. That's what it will show, statistically speaking. Your financials overall will be much worse off if that slump occurs in the beginning of your retirement than if it happened in the middle or towards the end of your retirement. Isn't that interesting, Morgan, of how important sequence of return risk really could come into play?
I tell you, it's paramount. I mean, to have these types of conversations, just to be aware of how this is going to impact your retirement.
Absolutely. And so that's where we look at how do you construct the portfolio as you get closer to retirement to account for this important type of risk. And that's when you heard me talk about on other shows, and even today we're going to talk about this further, about adjusting the portfolio to an appropriate risk tolerance to have better downside protection to account for sequence of return risk.
You're locked into Clear Picture Financial. We talk retirement each and every week. We're powered by Prime Capital Investment Advisors. That's where you can find Jason Noble and his team working very, very hard during the week. And it's all about helping you with your retirement. There's going to be that opportunity to get on his calendar. No cost, no obligation, simply no pressure. And we're going to open up those spots. We have a limited number, but we're going to open those spots just here in a little bit. So, how do you retire in a bear market? Things that you can do. So understanding sequence of returns risk we've talked about. And what about this term? Just lose your fear of inflation, because we're in the middle of some pretty thick inflation.
Yeah, it's easy to say, hard to do, right? Nothing really strikes as much fear into the hearts of retirees as inflation does. And that's really for good reason. The best, I would say, laid back retirement plans can have wrecked in a rapid decline of value of the dollars. Not all inflation is really created equal, though. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, you may have been hearing more and more about this, right? It's really attempts to capture the activity of all U.S. consumers, and that's not exactly you as a retiree. Retired Americans should worry more about local property taxes or the rising cost of health care. It's really important not to let that emotional part of inflation situation really dictate the real-world financial choices that you make. Average CPI inflation won't likely remain at the 7 to 8% range going into 2040, 2050, right? But it's probably not going to be as low as 2% either. It'll be hard to see that coming back down to those numbers.
Retiring in a bear market. I mean, we are looking at it right now. And again, they're saying 2023 could be the worst year for retirement since the Great Recession. So, things to be aware of. I mean, understanding sequence of returns risk, how that's going to impact you in retirement. Understand inflation. It is going to impact your retirement. So we've got some sound for you. And this is going to provide some insight for you. So how are Americans dealing with all this? We got Jamie Dimon, CEO, JP Morgan, saying, look at the numbers, and guess what the story is going to tell.
If you look in the short run, the consumer is spending 10% more than last year and 40% more than pre-COVID. That's a tremendous sum of money, and they have $1.5 trillion still in their checking accounts, more than pre-COVID. So the spending is down. That's the good news. The other news, which is not good, is that rates are now, 4% on their way to 5%. Inflation is eroding everything I just said, and that $1.5 trillion will run out sometime mid-year next year. And so when you're looking out forward, those things may very well derail the economy and cause this mild or hard recession that people are worried about.
Jamie Dimon, again, CEO, JP Morgan, saying just look at the numbers. Jason, just your thoughts. I mean, he is basically painting the same picture we've been talking about. 2023 looks bleak.
I hear he's looking at that one part of it, and the economy and the market is so complex and so vast, and so I do agree. Like, we're going to see a lot more people using up their used savings to be able to meet their financial goals, or just to be able to meet the ends meet, right? And that's what he's really referring to here. However, I'm also seeing an uptick in layoffs. Like, there's 964 tech companies that had over 149,000 layoffs this year in 2022. Okay. And as you see more and more companies doing layoffs, what's going to happen is you will see the stock market rebound before the economy. It's fascinating. It's interesting. It's sad at the same time that you will see stocks go up before the economy turns around. The stock market is a leading indicator to the economy. And so to say that we're going to have like this awful 2023, well, I think I'll leave that to the stock market predictors. Okay. I would leave that to the fortune tellers. I think Warren Buffett made this quote. Fortune tellers, only thing they do is they make stock market predictors look a little bit better, right? And I probably butchered that quote more again. But my thing on this is to say that we will see the worst year ever in 2023. I work on my practice, not just on, I don't believe in fear. I believe in hope. I believe in practical approaches to control what you can control. And that's how much risk we're taking within your strategy to navigate these environments to put you on the better path to your financial goals on the back end of this.
Clear Picture Financial, the program you're tuned to. Jason Noble is your host. You can find Jason during the week at Prime Capital Investment Advisors. You can also check out a great website, clearpicturefinancial.com. Great information there. All of our shows in podcast form. I mean, folks, if you're thinking retirement and you haven't started planning yet, there's going to be an opportunity to get on the counter with Jason Noble. And you might also be in this situation. Maybe you've started planning and you're confused, you're frustrated, you're not getting the feedback. It's time for a second opinion. Again, we have a limited number of spots. We're about to open those up, so stay tuned for that, and we are going to do that here in just a second. So, again, 2023, not looking great. It's going to look like a bear market. If you're retiring now, things you need to be concerned about, be aware of, understand sequence of returns risk. You got to have that conversation. Also, inflation, understanding how that's going to impact your retirement. We just heard from Jamie Dimon, CPO, JP Morgan, CEO of JP Morgan, I should say. And he's concerned about 2023. But as you said, Jason, take everything with a grain of salt. It is going to impact people in an individual way, but make sure you have that retirement plan going. So another thing to be concerned about, possibly, you might be forced into this, but be ready for early retirement.
Yeah, the Employee Benefit Research Institute has constantly found that a significant percentage of American retirees leave the workforce earlier than what they planned for. Mm-hmm. In some cases, this isn't really a bad thing, and it's about a third said that they could really afford to retire early. I love those meetings. I call them, hey, you're one bad meeting away from retirement, meaning your boss comes in and says, hey, I need you to work the second shift. You know what? I talked to my financial advisor. Here's my resignation. I'm going to retire.
Here's my answer to the second shift.
That's right. I'm done. Right. Here's my 2-week notice. Right. But another third of respondents to the survey, and this is the most recent survey that they had quit because of a health problem. And a quarter said they were forced into early retirement by their companies. Maybe that some of the 149,000 I was talking about in the tech sector, there's a portion of them that's going to probably retire and not go back to work.
Folks, an opportunity is upon you. I mean, this a lot of crazy stuff. We're nervous. We don't know what's going to happen in 2023. The forecasters, as Jason has pointed out, I mean, there's a lot of fear-mongering going on TV, and people are nervous. So have that conversation. We've got positions on the calendar. I know it's a busy office, Jason. How many do we have this week?
With this week coming up into the holidays and having some staffing, we're going to be at 5. We're going to do 5 for the next 5 callers that reach out. We're going to do 5. And what we're going to do is that custom design, that clear picture financial review. And that's going to indicate if you're in need of a full-blown wealth plan. That's when we're going to refresh your financial plan, especially with all the changes that we're seeing in today's economy and market. We always look at using a risk-first approach to help protect the money and optimize the overall portfolio. We also see if there's any ways that we could save you money on taxes, putting more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's. And we always like to evaluate the estate plan because we feel like that's so important. Now, listeners, we want to put a peace of mind to your retirement plan for the rest of your life, providing a clear picture financial for your future. This is going to be complimentary for the next 5 callers. Morgan, how can they reach out to schedule these conversations?
All right, I've got 2 ways you can do it. I've got a phone number, 800-948-1216. Again, that's 800-948-1216. Or if you like texting, I've got a great one. Noble, text Noble to 600-700. That's Noble to 600-700. We are so proud to be shedding light on retirement and planning, and there's so much that goes into it. And look, we get it. You're struggling with it. The economy, inflation. We're looking at 2023, and we're nervous about it. You need to have a conversation about where you currently sit in your planning process. And if you have not started planning, this is an excellent opportunity to do it. Again, no cost, no obligation, no pressure. Or if you're in the middle of something and you just aren't getting that feedback, maybe you're not getting your calls returned, it is time for a second opinion. Call the number now. Grab one of the 5 spots. We only have 5 this week. 800-948-1216. That's 800-948-1216. And again, you can also text the word Noble to 600-700. We're crafty. We've got 2 ways you can do it. Call the number 800-948-1216, or you can also text Noble to 600-700. We're back on the other side.